It's a Monday afternoon in early December and I'm outside on the drive and we're going to be doing some work on the old Tonga Green L322 today. I've got a box full of spares here. We've got a new thermostat. We've got EGR delete kits. We've got inlet manifold gaskets. We've got a couple of injectors, known good injectors, which I took out of another car. We've got glow plugs. We've got a alt dry belt, and we've got the centrifugal oil separator for the crankcase breather and some gaskets for that. So we're going to get started. Yeah, this is not a simple job. Well, it is simple. It's just spanners, but it is going to take a little while. I don't think I'm going to get it all done today. But I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to start with disconnect the top and bottom hoses to the radiator down there, drain the rad, disconnect this pipe here, undo that, undo the fixings for the EGR cooler, take this off so we can get to the front of the exhaust manifold where the other end of the EGR cooler is connected. Remove the EGR cooler completely, put the blanking plate on the manifold and put the blanks on the water supply which supplies the EGR cooler. There's this hose here, another one down there. Once we've done that, that's EGR deleted. We'll then whip the inlet manifold off. We've got to change injector number 5 because the leak off test we did last week showed that that one was leaking off about twice as fast as the rest. We'll replace all the gaskets on the inlet manifold. We'll do the glow plugs while we've got the inlet manifold off, and then it can all go back together again with a new drive belt and a new thermostat. Once we've got the EGR valve and cooler out of the way, we'll be able to get to the thermostat, which is down there. So should we just do it?
A few moments later.
There you go, I'll just see the first problem. This down, can I get my hand in? This down here, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, this is the bleed screw for draining the radiator. Now you don't have to drain it that way, but life is simpler if you can just unscrew it and done. Looks like this. And as you can see, thankfully, I've got a spare on this old spare radiator. So there's another little job we'll do. While we've got it all in pieces, we'll replace that drain screw. But in the meantime, I think what I'll do is I'll just pull off this hose here. And there, the radiator will just lift out. There we go. When we go to put that back together again, I'll make one good radiator out of the two. So now we've got, look at that, isn't that lovely? And we haven't got any water in it anymore. So there we go. Is that one off? There we go. There's that bit. It's worth being a little bit patient. There we go. And there's the other bolts. There are only 2. And then a little bit of a wriggle. Out it comes. I think you can see in there, you see the heat shield just hanging down and the end of the exhaust manifold there. So we're going to cap that off with the heat shield still in place. and then that job's done. And the next job we're going to do is this, which is the thermostat housing for that. So this is what we're going to do. We've got the blanking plate and a gasket. You stick the two together, hold it over, and do the bolts up. There it is in all its glorious shininess. Okay, so now we're going to do this bit. It's covered in filth. You can see how bloody filthy that is. It's that way round, so we've got two below and two above. And they look like they are an external Torx. It's an E8 external Torx. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there she goes. There's our old thermostat. There's our new one. So this is where we took that from. All looking normal. We'll just give the gasket face a wipe. Make sure it's not got any crud on it that's going to get trapped behind the gasket. And then we can put the whole thing back together again. Okay. Oh, lovely! Hey, it's coffee time. It's my lovely wife looking after me. Right. With that in mind, we'll be back in a minute. This video is sponsored by me, Stephen, and so thank you for getting this far through it. I'm glad you're still here. Carry on watching, and there's a discount code towards the end which you can use on my website, which is www.stevessteel.co.uk. Alright, back to the action. So I've undone all these, they're 10s, so I've undone all of those, they're 11s, and I'll undo this one down here, which holds the dipstick tube onto the manifold. That's a 10. And the other one is where the breather pipes come up the back of the engine and the gearbox. I've got that one. And last but not least, you have to remember to unplug the manifold air pressure sensor. Map sensor. Right, and then wriggle. There we go. These are the glow plugs, and these are the injectors. We're going to change number 5 injector, and we're going to pull the glow plugs and put new ones in. So should we do the glow plugs first? We'll put a spanner on one and see what happens, shall we? Right. 3/8 deep impact socket, 3/8 extension bar, 3/8 breaker, not because we want to break it. That one's turning. That one's turning. That one's turning. 50%. Don't get excited yet. Let's do another 3. That one's turning. One more. Come on, gods of spannering, be with me. Oh yes. The gods of spannering love me. Now I've changed to a much shorter ratchet now, and the reason for that is I don't want to be able to put too much torque on these. If I feel them go hard, I'm going to turn them back in a quarter of a turn and spray some plus gas on them. There she is. It's the first one out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray some plus gas in, and that does two things. One, it'll lubricate the junction in the threads, but two, it'll also help to dissipate the heat faster, so you won't get the heat build up. It's out. Oh. 6 and 5. Let's have a look at 4. This What? Oh, there we go. Patience is a virtue at this stage. However boring this might be for you to watch, this, when I've undone these last two, and I'm being very optimistic at this stage, this will be a wonderful moment where we can just drop the new ones in with a bit of copper slip on them and call it a day. Well, one left. It's feeling okay. You know, so I was very patient with this one. There she is. Oh, relief. 6 glow plugs, all successfully removed. Right, we're going to put the new ones straight in so that we're not leaving the engine open to the elements overnight. 6 shiny new glow plugs. My favourite tool in the box, some copper slip. I'm going to run it around the threads quite liberally. There we go. Also goes well with sound effects. Being careful not to dislodge the filth from around the hole where it goes. Guide it in. Let it just drop down to its point where the threads are touching and leave it there. Don't try and do it up at this stage. What we're going to do is we're going to drop all of them in, and then we're going to grab the right tool and do them up. You can be quite liberal with a copper slip. If you put too much on, it's just going to burn off. So it's not a big deal. If you don't put enough on, it won't do the job. Hence, be liberal with it. Right. Start at the front and work our way back. Just stop. It's not, I'm giving them about, coming up against that stop, giving them about 1/16 of a turn. And of course I've got a really short bar here, so I can't apply too much force. There we go. Oh boy, I'm glad that worked out okay. Glow plugs done. We had no real problems. We managed to pull all 6 out, put 6 new ones in, but then at this point I proved myself a better mechanic than a filmmaker, because I've lost some of the video, and yeah, you know, life sucks like that. But we're going to carry on. As you still hear, you might be hanging around waiting for me to do the injector, and that's what's coming next. Fingers crossed it's going to be alright, and because you've stayed around this long, if you go to my website www.stevessteel.co.uk, you can use the discount code MC05XDM and get 5% off everything you buy. That code is good to the end of 2025, and you can use it as often as you like. So back to the action. You didn't miss anything. The camera just turned itself off for some unknown bloody reason. Right, so we take that out of the way, and then we need to pull out a couple of these clips. Again, being really careful not to drop them down the inlet ports. And we need to encourage that out of the way, and that out of the way. Right, okay, now we can get to that injector. We're going to undo that and that to remove this piece of pipe, and then we're going to undo the 2 clamps, 2 bolts, nuts holding the clamp down, and then we're going to see if it comes out. Don't make me go and get the right spanner. That's good. chances of that injector just popping straight out, eh? Just about nil. But we're going to try anyway. We've got a selection of levering tools. Oh, beauty. Okay, and there it is, straight out. Oh, God, you fool. Right, there it is, straight out. That's interesting. It's soaking wet with diesel around there, and I don't think it was properly tightened down. But it is really mucky. I don't know if you can see this. I wonder if the camera will focus on it. But it's got some really heavy and loose carbon deposits around the tip of the injector there. So this one, the reason we're swapping it out is when we did the leak off test, it leaked off more than the others. And I don't have a new one to put in. I've got an old one. But I know this one is only about, this one has only had less than a year of service. Came out of a car which, an engine I scrapped. So I think it will be fine. And all I've done with it is given it a little wire brush to remove any loose crap that was on it. And I'll put a new O-ring on it. And that is it. So what I'm going to do is just grab some copper slip. You won't believe how pleased I am that that just came out. And there's been no messing around at all. It's just with a bit of luck, there's a chance that this little bit of copper slip on here, this lot copper slip on here, will just make it go together so much easier. Now, one thing to check, the one I took out has got its copper washer on it, so it's not stuck down the bottom of the bore. So this one can just drop straight in. Oop, straight in. No problems at all. Right. So we're going to put the clamp back on top of that. Definitely put these nuts back on. Try not to drop them. Fuck. Excuse me. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. I've got a box. You know that box that wife says, oh, I don't know why you keep all those bits, you know. You just seem to see value in them where there isn't any value, and things like that. Well, in that box, I've got the right nuts. Don't tell me it's not worth keeping that crap, because it is. Right, we're going to try again. This time, I am not going to drop them. If I do, I know where I've got some spares now. One. Oh, I'm not having a good day. I'll tell you what, it's because it's cold and windy and wet out here. And I'm not enjoying, well, I am enjoying the car, but I'm not enjoying the cold and windy and wet bit. There we go. Right, so I've now put both of those on there. Maybe that. Give those a little twist. We're not going to pinch them up tight yet. We'll see why in a moment. Alright, so before I pinch up the clamp bolts, we're going to put this back on. And the reason we do that is because this pipe doesn't really bend very much. So and the injector has got a bit of slop in it, so rotationally we can adjust the fit to this injector pipe by allowing the injector to settle into the right orientation before we tighten up its clamp bolts. Like that. Okay, and then get this, stick that back on there, do these up. As that one was loose, I'm going to check the water tightness while I've got the right tool in my hand. God, they're all loose. That's not going to be helping that, is it? I've got about a quarter return on every single one of them. Okay. That's good, I'm pleased. Now, I think we can now put the inlet manifold back on. Now look at that beauty. Off cam, I cleaned up the inlet manifold and fitted all its new gaskets, and I fitted the EGR delete. So that's ready to go straight in. There was one problem. These gaskets here, there should be 6 in a kit, and there was only 5. So I've had to reuse one, and the ones I took off were in a terrible condition. They were really hard, but I soaked this in a bit of kerosene for about an hour to soften it up, and it seems to be fine now. It's not perfect, but then again, this engine isn't perfect. Right, it's just starting to rain, so we're not going to piss around here. Grab a relevant spanner, put the relevant socket on it, because I don't like working in the rain. I'm going to tighten these up a little so we can keep the mice out. And then we're going to tidy up for the day, and we'll have had a nice hour. Injector is changed. And maybe tomorrow I'll get the opportunity to come out and put the rest of this back together again so that we can start it. Won't that be exciting? Slip that over there. Right. Spiders and mice can't get in there now. Let's pick up the tools. And let's call it a day now, because the rain is coming down. So there you go, there she is. Inlet manifold back in place but not tightened down yet. We've still got a couple of things left to do. We need to do the crankcase breather, which we will do, but we'll do that when the rain has stopped. Yucky stuff. Catch you all, I'm going to say tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, I'm sorry. For me, it might be days. For you, it'll be fractions of a second. See you then. Welcome back, YouTubers. We're back after days of what's been pissing down and windy and horrible. But today, it's actually Christmas Eve, 24th of December 2024, and it's not raining. In fact, it's actually quite a nice day. It's not so cold my fingers have turned blue or white. I think I can actually handle the tools without freezing. So we're going to try and finish putting this engine back together again and get the Tonga green Range Rover up and running again. We haven't got much to do. We've got to screw the inlet manifold down. We've got to change the crankcase breather. We've got to put the injector loom back on and a couple of other bits like that. There you go. That's done. Just need to put the clips on it. Put the cover for the air filter back on. Put some Jubilee clips back on. Put the radiator back in. And then I think we can have a go. We can have a go at starting it up. What do you reckon? You're going to join me for that? Let's see how it goes, shall we? It does. Right, they're on. Now, the cover for the crankcase breather next, and that's held on with 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they're 5mm Allens. They're captive, so that's what we're going to do next. Ooh, tight. Nice and tighty. They're quite big. Oh, and off it comes. There we go. So, this is the crankcase breather, and this one has got the original, most people call it a toilet roll filter in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to swap it for the much better, more modern solution, which is in this box here. This is, if you want to order one of these, I think these come from, I can't remember where I ordered this from, but if you look up the Febby Bilstein 34830, I hope you can see that, 34830, what you get is some new gaskets, and this piece. So this is a Venturi oil separator rather than a filter oil separator, and if you use one of these, then it makes the whole system work better and you don't need to service it. That just pulls off, and in here we should have an O-ring, and it's not got one, so the kit comes with a new O-ring. Which just sits in there, and then you can see the shape of this, round and pointy, and this is round and pointy, and that pushes in. Right, so the other thing we've got is a couple of new gaskets supplied with the oil separator. Reach for my little pliers again, grab the little tab, pull that one off. Yeah, So you can't get the orientation of these wrong. Well, you could try. And just tease it into the slot. Should be, and it is, a good fit. Little tab sitting down in its slot, everything's lined up, and then this drops down and there's a hole in here and there's a pin here, so as this drops in, there we go. She's in. We can do these up again. One. Okay, that's done. Next little job, let's put the injector loom back on. There's 3 of these. If they don't just line up, you've got the thing seated incorrectly. Just take it off and do it again. That's done, that's done. Right, we need to tighten all these up now. Before I pinch those up, we'll put the 11mm nuts on here. Making old man noises, sorry. You don't have to make those. That's then done. Now we've got a little bracket to do up at the back here, which is the bracket that holds the breather pipes. It's impossible to see, so you just have to do it by touch and know that it's there. Now I need to make sure, yeah, got a manifold pressure sensor, plug that back in. What's next? Oh, we can do that one up. Radiator, that's next. There's that one. That's it. And then these two. We'll tighten those down in a moment. I'm going for a quick coffee break. When I get back, 10 minutes for me, half a second for you. We'll connect it all up. Coffee drunk, we're back. And it's time to connect up the radiator. Are you sitting comfortably? Right, is that done? Now we've got to put all the hoses back on. Have you ever found yourself wishing that they'd come up with a more universal way of doing Jubilee clips, or in fact just get rid of fucking Jubilee clips and replace them with something better? Right, radiator's back in. We need to put this back on. That's an Allen. Let's go and find some water. At this stage, I'm not bothering with antifreeze. Let's see if it starts.